So next up, we have the highlight of the week. Who's excited about the highlight of the week? So the highlight of the week is someone that goes above and beyond. It's not just about APV every single week, but it's going out there and inspiring and doing things and going out there and getting the necessary skills from coming from training, being like, okay, I can use this, go back out there, and they're adding value to the world and pretty much adding value to District 6 and adding value to everything around in their life. So I'm gonna get Dana to talk about this week's highlight of the week. Let's give it up for Dana.
Good morning, everybody. Can someone give me a thumbs up on Zoom that you can hear me?
Yep.
All right, perfect. Thank you for your thumbs up, Mark. So this person should not come as a surprise for the highlight of the week, and if he does, you're not paying attention. So this guy is an absolute pleasure to work with. What I love about working with this guy is that he's a blank canvas. He came in here, he has other experience in business in the past, but he came in here and he's like, you know what, I'm gonna check this at the door. You guys are doing something that you've proven works. I'm just gonna plug into what you're doing and move forward. And he has, he's been coachable, he shows up, he's always professional, and he does the work. He never says I can't, he always says how can I? We have all those conversations all the time. He never comes to me and says, Dana, well, I can't do this and I can't. He's like, no, how can I make this happen? How can I get to this goal? How can I do this appointment? How can I find this workaround? He never says it's not working. That's another one I love. It's never not working. It's always, how can I make it work? How can we move forward? How can we do this? How can we do that? How is this possible? He's tweaking and adjusting all the time, always debriefing, making sure he's doing the right things. He's a student of this business, which is really huge. He knows this business inside and out, and he's only been here a few weeks. He reaches out for help. So that's another big one that is definitely helping him win. He doesn't sit there and go, I wish my SL would call me to make sure that I was doing the right things. No, he's in charge of him. He does the right things, and if he doesn't know what to do, he reaches out for help, and we work on it and move forward. And he's always positive. I don't know if Mark's talked about this a couple times in training. If you have that person that shows up on your phone that's calling you, and sometimes it's like, oh, I'm gonna let this one go to voicemail. He is not that person. He's the person where when he's on my phone and my phone lights up, regardless of what I'm doing, I'm dropping everything because I want to talk to this guy because he's just so positive, moving in the right direction. He's a pleasure to work with, like I said. So without further ado, let's hear from our highlight of the week, Chad.
Woo! Chad.
Woo!
Go, Chad.
Thank you, Dana.
Way to go, Chad.
Can everybody hear me? Excellent. Okay, guys, last week was a massive team success. That's what I'm going to attribute it to. Dana, Mark, all of D6, you guys are all highlights of the week for me. So the first and foremost, everyone here, let's give each other a big, massive round of applause for hitting 30,000 again. That was awesome. So a little bit about me. I grew up a farm kid that thrived on team sports. I played hockey at a high level, ended up being scouted to play junior in Langley, BC, age now, at the age of 14. Luckily, my mom lived there, so the transition was super easy. I spent 4 amazing years there, surrounded by amazing teammates and a ton of great memories. Then adulting started. The true team atmosphere was something that I thrived on as a kid, but had a really hard time finding as an adult. So it's always felt like something was missing until now. So being given this opportunity to walk into a major league team like D6 absolutely changed my life. So here at D6, the team is for you 24/7, 365, from Dana constantly keeping me on task and accountable, to Mark always keeping the message and energy in high gear, to all of you in breakout rooms smiling and excited to grab that next nugget and to help you in your success. It's truly a surreal environment, and I can't thank every one of you enough. So now I really want to talk about what I just said. So I've been in the business world my whole life, and as I'm sure many of you have been as well. At no point in my past have I started out my own business surrounded by other entrepreneurs that are truly rooting for me. It's crazy. They're pushing you to succeed, handing you all the tools you need to succeed on a silver platter, following by helping you blueprint your goal. That is so big for me. The blueprinting of my goal was so huge. So business owners pay thousands of dollars for this kind of support system that we're so lucky to literally have at our fingertips. I spend most days pinching myself to make sure this isn't a dream. So I wake up every morning excited to start my day, excited to yell to the world what we do and why I absolutely love my job. For the first time in 40 years, I love my job. So what's working? What's the key strategy? Well, it's nothing new. The tracker is literally my best friend in business. Don't tell Dana. It's the tool, it's the most important piece of equipment I have. The first few weeks, I was a tad under the numbers, and I made a sale here, sale there. It felt good, but I knew I could do more. So I finally hit tracker numbers and had my first big week, which was last time I was highlight at $5,000 in APV. And it was like a light bulb. So Dana and I sat down and I chose to add an extra 10 calls per week with a minimum of 5 more appointments. And I kept my streak alive, and then the magic happened last week. All the hard work came in, and boom, over 8,500 in APV. Was the funnest week of my life. I had so much fun. And you guys made that so possible by just being there and supporting me throughout the whole thing. It was incredible. So guys, the tools are here for us all to succeed, and they're free of charge. It's unbelievable and awesome all at the same time. I spend my time actively in the field every day, mastered my promo talk to the point that I can pique interest in a 10-second elevator conversation with a landscaper, and we meet on Friday at 3. So for me, there are no days off. There was a message that Mark gave that Ginny absolutely loves, and she always talks about it, and I love it too. This business has become a full-time life integration for me. It's not work. It's a part of who I am. I always find ways to incorporate my promo talk in any situation, whether I'm golfing or like yesterday talking to the TELUS rep, no joke, tried to get them to Zoom. So anything I'm doing, I'm finding a way to bring up what I'm doing. So literally the second that I got out of my own way and just went for it was the day that my life changed forever. So thank you so much, Mark and Dana and all of D6 for giving me the dream team I've been searching for my whole life. Back to you, Mark.
Woo! Let's give it up for Chad. What a rock star. Fantastic, guys. And some massive, massive tips. If you guys didn't get them, let's give it up for Chad one more time, guys. Leading the whole country right across the board, being an inspiration. People like to find out exactly what's going on. We'll get a little picture of you, Chad, there. Just hold on 1 second. Just with your highlight of the week. That's all right. I'll go through some things. There he is. Just going to pin you. There we go. Smile beside you. All right. Awesome. That's famous. Okay, so on top of that, guys, he's hit obviously some great things. But Dana said it best. He's not asking, what's wrong or what can go, when is COVID over, all that kind of stuff. He's asking just, how can I make this happen? How can I do this? How can I get to 25? How can I do this a little bit more? And obviously, guys, if you noticed, he pushed on Friday and Saturday last week, and then another one on Sunday. How continues pretty much every day he's getting a sale right now because he built it up. And what did he say? To do the tracker. And what is the tracker? It is something that he knows he needs to do, but most people don't want to go do it. And that's probably for him too, and that's probably for everybody here. You don't want to do the tracker, but if you do it, it can actually give you the results. And what did he do? He goes, okay, fine. I want to actually be successful. I don't want to have this person, we call it the poor person disease, that's going to say, I know what to do, I'm just not going to do it. And he goes, no, I'm just going to go, let it go and just go, I'm going to do everything I need to go do. If that's what you heard from his speech, you guys, he's coming to the trainings, and what's he doing? He's adding value. He's coming here being like, there's a nugget, there's something here. I can't believe the support. How fantastic is this? How amazing does that feel when he feels like that? And you're sitting like this, well, I'm not feeling that. It's because you're not looking for that. You're looking for, I don't want to go do these things. And that's what champions are doing here, guys. Week in, week out, all you have to do is just go, I'm going to take one step, and then D6 will take 10 for you. Because there's so much support, there's so much love here, there's so much great things. We get week in, week out, fantastic energy, trainings, you name it, that's all geared towards what's going to happen. And you have champions like this, guys. Light bulb. How cool is it to actually say, for the first time in my life, I love what I'm doing? That is one of the most beautiful things you can hear. So let's give it up for Chad. That's amazing, guys. You're going to hear more from him over time here. So we're going to get into a break here. You got it? So let's break a sweat. That's easy. So let's come back at 9:45, and we're going to have an action-packed training today, guys. So great job, Chad. Let's give it up for Chad, and have a great little break here. We'll come back in 10 minutes. Great job, everybody. All right, welcome back. Turn your neighbor, give him a high five, and say, all right, let's get started. Already, let's get started. All right, guys. So before we get started, and we're going to get into this, and we're going to have a lot of fun today, a lot of sharing, a lot of caring, and a lot of all that kind of fun stuff. But today we want to also talk a little bit of birthdays, because we got the wonderful celeb guys' birthdays. Give them a huge round of applause. 26 years old. Boom. Doesn't matter. I'm going to say that one. And then we have the wonderful Janelle Anderson. If you didn't know it was her birthday yesterday, let's give it up for Janelle Anderson. So they love hot beats, and we've got cool treats. So let's hit it up for the birthday song for them in the birthday D6 style here. Hit it away, DJ Page.
We sing happy birthday birthday to you. And may all your dreams come true. Happy, happy birthday. Oh, this is your birthday song. Oh, celebrating all night long. May all your dreams come true. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday celebration. Party night, feel the vibration. Lights are bright, you're feeling alright. We're dancing till the morning light.
All right, there you go, Janelle. Hopefully you weren't in the washroom, but let's. All right, guys. So obviously birthdays are a special thing around here. So, guys, we're gonna get into the training today here, and again, it's continuation from Monday. So Monday was awesome for the fact that we're wanting to learn a little bit more about who we're sitting down with, and if you can kind of get the idea of what's happening here. We're talking about just adding value to people and figuring it out a little bit better and getting stronger and smarter with sales. Because again, if we're just going there to sit down with somebody and practice like, body movement and stuff like that, it's going to help out. But if you can take the skill set from here and put it into anything you do in life, life's going to be that much funner, right? So understanding this kind of stuff of what we're doing here today is really going to help out. So we got to be able to play into people's egos. And all an ego is the sense of somebody's persona and everything that they have to project to the world, right? So whoever they are, the shield, who their inside is exactly what is being projected to the outside world. So we've got to understand how we can get past that. So a lot of people have a wall when it comes to anything right off the bat. And especially in outside sales, we have to do almost all of that, right? It's not like somebody's coming to us and being like, hey, do you have insurance? Unless you've done this for a while, or they've had a claim, then you can start to build up that over time. But for now, you've got to go out there and you've got to make sure that they can see this from scratch and all that kind of stuff. So sometimes they need touch points. Sometimes they need to see this 5-6 times. Sometimes they need to see this just once, twice. And sometimes you can actually sit down with somebody and talk about enough things and they actually have enough emotion to be like, okay, this is a fantastic decision. So we've got to understand what all that meant from Thursday or from Monday to put this into today's training so we can have a lot of fun. So playing into their ego comes down to, figure this. So first things first, a little recap from here. Here's what we know so far. There are people that have to be right. Who are these people? No one puts their hand up. Paige is pointing at people. I know it's you. We've had arguments, right? And understand these are people that have to be right all the time and all that kind of stuff, right? So there's people that have to be right, and then there's other people that will not be wrong ever. And you've probably met these people in an argument, probably a significant other of some sort, and they're not listening and they're just want to get the point across, right? We've all kind of met these people and some of them ourselves. And then we get to find out on which one of these are we more like. We have a bit of both of them in both of us and in all of us, but there's one that kind of stands out a little bit further. And if you have to understand that this isn't all people, we've got to find a way to get around this. Because honestly, if you can add value to this and understand this, it makes the sale so much easier. Because sometimes you're sitting across from somebody like this. You can't get me. Right? Because their ego is up and it's in front because they just don't want to be gotten and all that kind of stuff. So if you're sitting down with them, you want to somehow take this to this. And if we can do that, it's that much easier. And we're going to have a cool couple of things to do to change that today. So also that, how do we know who's who? So how do you know who's who? A very simple way of doing it is a person that it can't be wrong is usually a person that has a very difficult time apologizing. Or when they apologize, they use, a little extra, hey, I'm sorry about that, but you're even more wrong. Yeah, I'm sorry you took offense to what I said, but that's called the truth, Paige, and you need to deal with it better. That's what, if they say that kind of sorry, that's not the sorry that you're looking for. If somebody actually generally can just say sorry, hey, sorry I messed up, that's it, right? That's an actual sorry, just to let anybody know if you're one of these people. All right, and then on top of that, that's the whole point of training today, so I can talk to you. And then, or do they don't use the word but, they use the word but a lot. This is for people that need to be right. So they could be like, that's great, Paige, fantastic. I love that you went to the Bahamas, but let me tell you where you should have gone. And then they want to one-up you all the time. They're always looking to do that. And the reason, remember, all this is protecting their fragile ego. So that's all we're doing when we're actually not wanting to apologize. We're just, something's built up from our childhood or something like that. You can't be wrong because that's a sense of weakness, or your right is being in control. So you think that you're in control when you're just like going above people, right? So there's people that just talk louder than other people. There's people that just kind of like interrupt all the time and they think that they're in control. But if you can actually be aware of it, they might be able to do that to the regular masses, but you're probably like, That guy's insecure. She's insecure, right? And that's really what it is. It's just trying to protect their fragile ego by going overcompensating, just like having a Lamborghini in front of the Earls and just the doors up for no reason, right? Which you've seen before. Paige knows that. But on top of that, so what is this? So really what we can do here, guys, we're not going to ask a series of questions when you sit down with your client because it's too hard to figure out what that is. And really, at the end of the day, who cares? So what we got to do is we've got to be smart about it. Entrepreneurs and true real business people, they don't look at the problems, they find the solutions, right? So sometimes if we need to find the solutions, we don't need to dive into the psychology of going into finding out what these people and what's wrong with them and what happened when they were kids. We don't got time for that, right? So what we want to go do is actually go around it, just like the points. We know that APV translates to this, but if we shoot for the points, you can actually probably trick yourself to actually becoming rich, which is unbelievable. So if you're focusing on 25 points, the whole point about 25 points is to make our mind think about points and think about protecting families than worrying about income. Because for some reason, if it's about income, because 97.5% doesn't do it for anybody or some people, then it's not going to help any which way. So it's income actually hurts us because for some reason, we've been told that we're not good enough to actually have all the things that we want to go do. So that's why we use points to go around it. So we need to do the same thing. So how do we do that in this business? This might be brain teasing, these two words. Again, you've probably seen them once, twice. Adding value. And this today, we're going to give you not one, but 2 hacks to get past this. So we can sit down with people when you leave here today, and you can practice this a lot. We're going to have some scripts and everything like that to practice to making sure that we can get past all that kind of stuff. So you're not combating somebody. So you're not sitting across from them and you don't know exactly the type of person they are. And they're just like, no, I never buy in the first time. No, I actually have to be right every single time. We're going to give you some hacks here how to get past that. We can't go deep into it. We're not psychologists. We're going to go around it and just talk about the things that we need to do. Does that make sense with everybody? Yes. Is anybody excited about that? Yes. All right. He likes hacking. All right. So the first one, guys, adding value to the 3rd degree. Woo! What a title. So the first one, the first hack here is adding value to the 3rd degree. So I'm not sure if you guys know what this one's going to be like, but this is probably the easiest one. And this is where it's from the books, How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's from a lot of people that you just wonder, like, how does everybody like that person? How does that person walk around the room and everybody just really knows them, excited about them and talking about them? Guys, every single person, again, I'm an introvert, so is Dan, but when I talk to people, they always remember who I am and they always know the energy is, and they always got good things to say. And the reason why is because of this hack. I learned this a long time ago by just doing something in the book called Genuinely Be Interested in Somebody. Genuinely be interested in somebody. If your job is to go to a networking event and you're just going to be like this to like pitch everybody, you're in the wrong spot because everybody there is in that room to pitch their spot. So all you need to do is to do something a little bit different and add value to the 3rd degree. So here it is. Adding value is what we're doing here. So do you guys know what the first one is? Find out what people like. Simple as that. If you find out what people like, people get excited about it for some reason. You guys know what I'm talking about? Yeah. So I'm going to ask you guys just to play along for a second here. Grab a pen and paper and just, what is the one thing that you love doing the most? Some people are like, this business, right? Oh, wait. Prove me that one wrong, right? But what is the one thing you just love doing, right? I was talking to Dana the other day and she's like, I love, you know, playing teapot with the baby, right? Like, and she's like, I love it because her smile's there and all this kind of stuff, right? And then we talk about it a little bit more. But what is the one thing that right now, if you could just be doing anything, what was the one thing that you love to do? Right? Is it gardening? Is it mowing the lawn? Is it being on trips? Is it hanging out with your friends? What is the one thing that you love more than anything? And if you could be doing it every single day, what is that one thing? So just take a quick minute here just to take in that one thing. And you're like, Mark, I don't even know what I like. Well, we'll get to that too then. So it might be a little help here. What do you do? What do you like to do for fun? And trolling people on the internet might be fun, but you're hurting a lot of people. All right, guys. So let's get a few here, just a couple of shares, just maybe from somebody from Zoom, something they just love to do and just want to kind of share it here. And then we'll get maybe a couple from the room. Just shout them out here. Something you just love doing. It's your time to share about something that you like in life.
Traveling.
Traveling, Dan. Fantastic. Another one, guys.
Kids.
Kids. Yes.
Unplugged family time.
Unplugged family time. There we go.
Being
It's
creative and refurbishing things.
Refurbishing things. There we go. Right. Well, I have a couple.
In the ocean.
Ah, being in the ocean. That's a beautiful thing, right?
Golfing.
Golfing. There we go.
Dancing.
Dancing. Right?
Wakeboarding.
Working all day.
Sorry?
Wakeboarding.
Wakeboarding. There we go.
Camping.
Camping. There we go. I know Abigail's into that.
Downhill skiing.
Downhill skiing. What do we like to do in the room here? Laugh. Paige loves to laugh. That's why we're friends. I'm hilarious. What else? What else is anybody else? Coach. Love to coach, right? Randy loves to coach.
Concerts.
Concerts, right? We're going to music concerts, right? You guys like those types of things? That's a hot beats you've been listening to. You can come to my concert every single Monday and Thursday. And plagiarism. Anything else, guys? Your chance to share something that you like in life. Perfect. Okay, maybe here's an easy question. What do you not like? No, we're not going to go into that one today. But here it is, finding out what people like. So here's what we do, guys, is if you can find out what people like, they can get excited about it. And honestly, it's unbelievable because that's the hack in life. I always ask people, like, what do they do for fun? What are they up to right now? And I kind of always go into asking these questions. Now, that's a great hack, but we can't just stop there. And why is there a third degree on this? Because a lot of people, when you're going through your Form IQ or anything like that, so let's say Paige or Dan traveling, right? So just give you the microphone here, just play a little game here. And I'm just like, hey, Dan, what do you like to do for fun?
I like traveling.
Okay, sweet. And next. Right, doesn't that feel weird? He's like, I like to go traveling. Okay, cool, perfect. Write that down. Now, what about your family? What do they like to do?
They
I
like.
just skipped it.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm talking about, being genuinely interested in somebody. When you're just walking up to somebody, you're just like this, hey, what do you like to do for fun? Because I heard this from Trina, I have to ask this. What do you like to do for fun? And you're like, traveling. Okay, sweet, dud, check mark. Now, hey, I've been working with a company that's been around for 100 years. Like, you can't do that. You can't transition that way. You want to get them excited about what they're doing in life. People love to see value in themselves. So if you can just add value to Dan, what we want to do is ask follow-up questions. And here's the real key. If you find something they like, ask at least 3 questions.
Mm-hmm.
And this will change your business hand in, hand out. When you're going through your business, and we'll find out different spots for it, but you can find out more about them, and you can use this with everything. So every single time I talk to someone, I ask them, like when I'm just going to meet somebody new or anything like that, I'll see that with you, Dan, is I ask these a couple more questions, right? So you can watch somebody's smile turn into something more. So I'll just use this with Dan for the traveling one again. So instead of just me just going, okay, traveling, sweet, I work for a 100-year-old company, right? Like that's not the best segue, right? So if I'm going to talk to Dan, it's like, hey, Dan, what do you love to do for fun?
Oh, traveling.
Oh, traveling. Where's your favorite place to go?
I really enjoyed Southeast Asia.
Southeast Asia. Which was your favorite spot?
I think Cambodia was my favorite country to visit.
Who'd you go with?
I went with my lovely lady Chantel.
Oh, how long did you guys go for?
2 months.
2 months. That's a
Yeah, man.
vacation.
That's how you really travel.
That's how you really travel. I wish, one of these days, that's one of my dreams is get to 2 months.
Yeah.
And that's fantastic. Anywhere else? You were talking about you have a young boy now. Where's another place you guys want to travel?
Probably next place I would like to go would either be like Spain or Scotland.
And why Scotland?
Because I'm partly Scottish.
Because you're partly Scottish. There you go. Don't do that part. Don't do that.
Yeah.
But you guys see what happened there? He's now giving me more information, but he's feeling better about it. Like, you can actually watch his smile. I was doing this with Dana the other day, and I was talking, and I'm like, what do you love to do? And she's like, I love, playing teapot. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And what time of day do you guys do it? High noon, and they're like, oh my goodness, what a great age. I'm like, kind of, how old is she? And she's like 1 year old. I'm like, what a perfect age for doing that. Honestly, Dana was like, I told her I was going to do this, and then she forgot I was doing it with her because she's just like, talk about my love, and this is what I'm doing. So if you can find it, guys, people just lose focus and just like, they start talking about it. But if you only ask 1 question, and even 2 is not far enough, but when you get to the 3rd, guess what happened on the 3rd one? He thought about the trip with Chantel for 2 months. And did you hear his energy go up, right? I'll give him $20 later for playing along properly. But the idea is, like, you heard it not from the first 2 questions, but from the 3rd one is when he actually went up and said, for 2 months. You know why? Because that's exciting that he left for 2 months, and now he's thinking of all the memories. So guess what he's in? A positive state of mind. So what we want to do now, guys, is we're going to break out to breakout rooms. And what I want you to do is to ask a certain person. So you've written down what you like. Hopefully we did that part. and somebody's going to ask you what you like, but I want them to ask 3 questions. And guys, it can be any 3 questions. Don't worry about it. If you're like, oh, okay, I got to have this twist and this, don't worry about it. Just ask 3 questions and just find them, because you got to get good at this, right? It starts practicing. You can just always find something to do with asking questions. So we're going to break out the break rooms for about 4 minutes, just so you can practice, honestly, this huge, huge thing. So one person's going to get to tell them what they like, and one person's going to actually be genuinely interested in them and ask 3 questions, and then we get the next person to go. So we'll take 5 minutes to do this. So we'll break out to breakout rooms, have one person go to there, and the person go back to that person, and then find 2 more people in the group, right? So let's come back in 5 minutes, and let's find out what people like. All right, welcome back. Turn your neighbor, give him a high five and say, that's what you like? And exactly that tone. Okay, perfect, guys. Okay, so welcome back. So, you know, obviously we can understand this part, but what was the overall feeling of what happened there? Like, positive, euphoric is what Paige said, positive. And the more questions you ask, the more they just started to relax. But it can't get there until 3. It's magics and 3s, all that kind of stuff you heard about the universe. If you don't ask the 3, you can't get there. I was listening to Abigail talk to Cleo, and Cleo honestly started talking, and I probably forgot there was even an exercise going on, because she was like, oh, I love being at festivals, and there's this one we were going down the river, and she's like this, and there's just music playing, and there's like this. I was like, I just felt like a champion. And I was like, yes, because you found out what they like. And now I know exactly what Cleo likes, right? But the thing is that if you can find that, and you've been genuinely caring about it, they just open up to everything, right? So honestly, if you can find out what these things are, most people don't go that far. It actually, at first, when you actually start asking the questions and you're trying to find them, you can always be like, okay, what's something else I can ask? It feels awkward, but it doesn't feel awkward to them, because once you hit the nerve on the 3rd or 4th question, they go. And then they're in, and they're just like, I like being here. I like this person because I don't know what they're doing. Maybe they went to training, and then what's happened, but this here can literally change your business and your life, actually. You'll have a lot more positive people around you by just asking and be genuinely interested in them. Because most of the world is going this way, and all they want to do is go me, 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 me. And then what we need to do is just go like this, okay, what about you? And you watch the world change. And honestly, if you guys can just do this, we can practice this, and we're going to see how we can translate to something else. But where are some places that we could actually do this? Key places to do this in our presentation would probably be, or anywhere, anytime you meet anyone. So this is something that you can use anytime you meet anyone. What Chad's talking about, he's asking a couple questions, and then somehow he's finding answers, right? Especially if their favorite thing is to do is like going camping or something like that. You know that there's a sense of something there, or in downhill skiing, you know that there's some type of accidents that could happen from that, right? So we have something. So the more questions you ask, the more you're learning about them. So anytime you meet someone new, this is a great way to become friends with them instantly. And remember, always think about how you became best friends. Cleo's just talking about this with somebody really close to you, is because at first, your first connection, it went a little bit further than just your regular, like, hey, how's it going? It went to the next level, and you start asking more questions, and that's how people become friends. Wow, we just learned it all today. Okay, next up is networking events, right? You're going to networking events. Again, everybody at the networking events is like, here's my card, here's my card, here's my card. 0 development, 0 training happening. So what we're gonna go do there is just be like this, oh, what's your card? Or what's this business about? How long you been doing it for? How many employees you got? Oh my goodness, you're like professional, you've been doing this for 15 years? What a company. And and what do you love best about it? You don't, honestly, no one asks those questions. They'll just light up, and then like this, and then they might not even ask you what you do, and that's what you have their card, but they want you to call them. Like, you know what, I'll give you a call next day, and we'll talk about how we can help each other out. Because what did you do to them? You added value. Simple as that, you added value to their life in the most meaningful way. You were actually genuinely interested about them and their business, or them and their lifestyle somehow. Next one, small talk before presentations. Finding something in their house, right? Finding something around. This is when you're walking up to somebody's house, obviously it's on Zoom. If you see a painting in the background, you want to talk about that painting, because again, where did you get that? Oh my goodness, I love the painting in the background. Where'd you get that? And then they start talking about, oh my goodness, and like from a store, you got it from Florida? You went to Florida? Like, how many times do you go to Florida? Like, do you have any other art in your house that is like from different places? Oh my goodness, yes I do. They'll pick up their screen and walk around their house. It's amazing because they have passion to something that they've bought. Right? And they want validation for it somewhere. So understanding this kind of stuff, and even if you're walking up and you're like, oh my goodness, who has that truck out for, like, that's a very nice truck out front. All trucks look the same, but like, that's a very nice truck out front. Like, do you guys do type of an activities with it? You guys go like, oh yeah, we go to the lake every single weekend, or we're dirt biking, we're doing these types of things. What is that happening? Ding, ding, ding. Like, you're giving information, but you're also talking about something that they generally, if you know a car is washed in the driveway, that means they take care of it and it means something to them. Does that make sense? Right? So we're learning just things, small talk before the presentation, just a little bit. And again, you don't want to go through 500 things, right? You just want to find a few things that they can actually touch. But you see a family picture with them on a trip, or them playing soccer or something like that, you can touch into it. Next up is the financial house. Woo! Wow, we put this in the presentation. This is crazy, right? Guess what happens in the financial house? Where do you guys think it would be a place where you would get them to feel good? What's your goal? Thank you, Paige, right? So what's your goal? Some people get to the goal and like, hey, what's your goal in life? Well, you know, I kind of want to take the family on a trip to Disney World. Okay, sweet. Now that you have the goal, like, that's not far enough. You want to touch the base with them. You want to get them excited about. Most people don't even have goals in life. So you want to find out about it, like, okay, so where would you go? Disney World. Have you guys looked at researching online or something like that? Have you guys, like, you know, is there a place to go? Oh yeah, I want to go to the Swan Resort. I can't wait for it. Oh my goodness, how fantastic. You know, who are you taking? All the kids. What's the ages of the kids? Like, you're just opening up and finding out what they love to do, guys. And that's a fantastic thing. What's their goal, so that you can trigger the whole thing back to protecting their goal, right? Next up there is Form IQ. Crazy in here. Where do you guys think this one would be? Yeah, recreation, or pretty much all the way through it, right? What do you like best? Who's your favorite child, right? All that kind of stuff you can pick out and stuff like that. We always have one, but hey, Caleb, right? That got real. Form IQ is recreation. What do you guys like to do for fun? Oh, we love to go dirt biking. Oh, fantastic. You know, where do you know, like, who do you go with? Oh, there's about 5 or 6 of us that always meet up all the time. Ding, 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 right? There's 5 or 6 of them, referrals, thank you program, things, more business, right? And then after that, then you'd be like, okay, well, where do you guys go? And they're like, well, you know, mainly it's outside of Vernon. Yeah, I'm like, oh, and you can always add a few things in too. I used to go dirt biking when I was younger in the Millwoods Golf Course, but then they changed it to Millwoods Golf Course, and I can't find any areas around here. And they'll be like, oh, you have to go here, 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 and here. If you can get their opinion on something, is the next level, which we'll probably go into next week, it's even that much gold. If you can be like, okay, so would you recommend going there to travel? You love know-it-alls, right? So understanding all that kind of stuff. So there's definitely a bunch of places that we could insert this into your presentation. Would you guys agree? So if you can just find one, and in the follow-up, guess what, when you call them on the follow-up, are you just being like this, hey, do you want some insurance again? No, right? Pull the trigger, right? It's not, it's, hey, how's it going? What's new? What's happening? What have you been doing for fun in the last little bit here? And then you ask a second question, and then a third question, and then they're going to be happier on the phone to talk about that, scheduling that appointment. Does that make sense? So guys, honestly, this can really change your business if we start to really practice this all the time. So again, we're going to practice this more and more, because there's a second part to this that's really key to this, is when you're asking for the business, what did you like best about what you saw today? And they just go like, well, I like that one where if I break my arm, okay, perfect, let's get you that one. That's not good enough. You go into second and you go into third, and we'll practice that more next week. So we're practicing all that kind of stuff. Does that make sense with everybody? Awesome, guys. So is that something that you could probably use for effectiveness? Yes. And somebody like, no, Mark, I'm not wrong. I do it the way perfectly every single time. Okay. So the idea is, just to bring this up, to sum up what we just talked about, you have to find out what they like. If you're just sitting there every single time being like, I got to make sure I find out what they like, because if they're sitting like this and they turn to this, it's over. You ever sat with somebody and you start talking about them a bit, and then you can honestly just start seeing them open up? That's all this is. This is just, now that we just know exactly what we're doing with it. When you stumble upon it, you're just like, okay, what happened there? And that's exactly what you did. You asked them extra questions and started finding out more on it. So find out what they like, right? Everybody got that one down? Yeah. Just in case you didn't, we're going to put this in blue and flash it around. Find out what they like. Now, here's the other part to this. Please, 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 please don't do this. What you don't like. As there's a lot of things happening in the world right now, please do not talk about things that you don't like that's going on in the world. It changes the entire presentation. I don't know why we do this kind of thing in life, but a negative thought is 10 times more powerful for some reason than a positive thought. So we have to understand that when you're sitting down with them, you want to talk about things they like. You want to talk about what they like best. You want to talk about this is the greatest presentation they've ever seen. You want to talk about this is a great experience. But once you start talking about this, you might be able to relate to them, right? But it's going to go in a wrong direction. And then guess it doesn't become like, you know, when you just have a conversation about stuff that's negative, you just don't feel good afterwards. That's what you're doing in a presentation sometimes. So please don't have, what I'm trying to say is try not to state your opinion. You can have an opinion in the world, everybody does, trust me on that, but let's just try not to state it in your presentation. Whatever you believe, you don't want to come across and say the wrong thing across the board, right? So try not to state your opinion to anything. Is that okay with everybody? Let me give you an example of this. And there's lots, right? But here's one. You guys ever watch the Ellen show? Does anybody ever seen Ellen? Does everybody kind of like Ellen? She's a likable person, right? And you guys know her show is absolutely about nothing. Like, she's not controversial. She doesn't talk about negative things. She doesn't talk about this. She doesn't talk about anything, right? And obviously she has a controversial how she got into her stardom and stuff like that. And if you watch her stand-up, it's actually quite great. But on her show, everybody's what? Abigail likes this. They're dancing in the crowd. They're having a good time. And they're just there for that hour or 2 hours, and they're giving away gifts, and they're bringing on celebrities. This is how powerful her brand is because of positivity. She can have a guest like David Beckham. I watched this one time. David Beckham comes on stage and he's talking about whatever he wants to talk about, right? And she's sitting there interviewing him for about 20 minutes. And in this is how powerful she is. For 20 minutes, this is happening. And inside this box, beside the interview place on the couches, there's somebody in the box. Do you know who's in the box? Justin Bieber. The Biebs himself. Now you might be like, oh, I don't really like him. It doesn't matter. He makes over $100 million a year. He's super successful. And he's in there to get up and he's in there for 20 minutes. Sitting like this, like when we were a child, being like, wait. For 20 minutes, he's sitting in a box. And then all of a sudden he jumps out and he scares David Beckham. David, no! And then he leaves. That's it. He doesn't even sit on the stage and try to promote anything. He just leaves. Ellen has so much power of positivity, and she's talking about so many things that people love that brand, that the guy that's worth hundreds of millions of dollars is hiding out just to scare somebody and leave. Isn't that a crazy thing? That's how powerful you can be when you're positive and you're always talking about that, but you can't get into this kind of stuff, because you can wreck your presentation, guys. And you might think you're relating to them, but just don't. And if they're going to bring it up, just try to get back to, hey, so what else do you like in life, right? You want to get past it because, guys, I'm not joking, this is a huge, huge thing. And your presentation just feels, when they leave there, it was something positive. Everybody watches. Ellen has the #1 show on YouTube, and all she does is take clips from the hour show and put it into 15 minutes, and people watch that afterwards. Directly afterwards, they just watch something, they watch it again because it's so positive in their life, and people leave that show. Does that make sense, everybody? We got to Ellen this thing. We got to Ellen it. All right. All right, so second hack here. People don't like to be wrong, or they have to be right. So this is what we talked about last week here. So here's hack 2. It's very hard to tell which one is, you can't beat them. Even if you find out that they're wrong, you guys ever had an argument with somebody that can't be wrong? Is there any chance that you can get anything across? Even if you have the facts, even if you have everything to point across, you could just, they're almost waiting for you to say something just a little wrong, and then they just roar, right? This is called All My Ex-Girlfriends. And maybe it's me. That could be the solution here. But the idea is, you can't beat them if they're these types, if you're going against them. And even if you have all the facts, there's just no point. So you just can't beat it, because it's something that they feel insecure if they give up right now. And it comes from somewhere, and you don't got the time for it. So let's not try to get through that, because you're just like, the next day, sometimes the next day, you can just ask them and everything's just good. You guys ever notice that sometimes time heals things? Well, they're just because you can't be in combat zone. People think that sometimes if they lose a battle here, that they're losing in life. And it's not that, but that's just somewhere it comes from. So understanding this is a fun thing that we need to go around it. So when you're actually sitting there, they stop listening, or they completely just shut off. So they stop listening to you and they're just waiting for you to make a mistake, or they just completely shut off and they just go quiet. We know that when we've had that kind of thing. So when you're sitting down with a presentation, you could be doing this without even being like some type of aggressiveness. That's why we want to talk about things that they like, so you get them up. But you might not know a couple things here. So here's the second hack, guys, and we're going to go through a cool script, and we're going to make sure we're practicing this, because we're right on time today. Let's hack this with a little phrase that gives them the power and makes everything their idea. What do we talk about? When you guys give somebody the power, everything changes. Now somebody feels a little bit more in control. But here's the cool thing is when you give somebody the power, guess what you have? The power, because you've given it to someone, right? So understand this, and then by doing that, it makes it their idea. So this is called adding value and making it just a lot more simple. We're gonna actually be a really good game changer here, guys. And we're gonna practice through this. We're gonna see the script, and then I'm gonna talk a little bit more about the psychology of it, and then we're gonna get around practicing to it. So also now you'll know the person you're sitting with, but we can't go right at it and ask these questions to find out which one of these are, because we don't even know what to do with that anyways. So we need to go around it. So the first hack was get them in a great place of things that they like, and the energy is all shifted, and we don't talk about negative things. We don't talk about our opinions. We just talk about things that they like. And honestly, you'll see the whole thing just absolutely go into the best direction. I promise you on this. Now, number 2 here, watch this one. So now we're gonna call this the alternate of options during the sizzle. So before you just before you're about to do your sizzle, you sat down with them, you've talked about a couple things that they maybe like in their house and whatever like this. Here's going to be a game changer that can actually help you out. Who's excited about this one? Yes. All right. So what we're going to do, this might be able to something to add, because sometimes you're like, do I do a full sizzle right now, or do I do a full presentation? Has anybody kind of questioned that a few times? I was talking to Jenny, and she's like, sometimes I'm like, you know what? I mean, obviously, if you only have 15 minutes, you only got 15 minutes, right? But sometimes you're like, you know what, this person seems like they would be actually ready to go today, but we might not be able to go through it. So I'm just gonna say this is our new phrase, and then we're gonna practice this afterwards, but I would do this every single time, because what you're gonna do is you're gonna hand the power, and we're gonna talk about the science of it. So the first thing you're gonna do, just before you get started with your presentation, just as you're gonna get started, even before you say, I'm gonna talk about the 4-step process, you're just gonna say, so before we get started today here, we have a 2-visit process, because some of our clients love to see the information and then gather their thoughts for a couple of days and then make a decision on the second visit. So we have a couple of people that just honestly, they see this thing, they're like, I love this, they gather information, and then over 2 days we come and we make a decision, we go in a little bit more detail, right? And then on the other hand, we also have clients that see this and they're like, oh, I love this, and they want it immediately because they can't wait to add the value, and they also want the thank you program in every which way. So here's the crazy one. So are you a person that likes to gather thoughts and then, and then we make a decision in a couple of days? Or are you a person that likes to make a decision right off the bat? And then we can move forward. Either way, we're gonna have 2 visits, but this way you might be just to go in that direction. So which one are you, Dan?
I like to buy things when I like them.
Dan likes to buy things when he likes them. Perfect, sounds good. So we're gonna go through this. So what would that trigger for you if that happened? Full presentation. I'm gonna go through Form IQ. I'm gonna go, if you have the time. If you don't have the time, you're going to give everything you got, but you know that this is what it is, and you need to make sure you've already booked that second appointment, all right? Because what we need to talk about there, this right now will change the game by just saying these sentences, because now guess what you've done? You've found out what they like to do, because here's what we're going to go through in the second slide. Yeah, okay, she's going to post this one, yeah. So before we get practicing this one, guys, I'm just going to go through a little bit of the science behind this, because you really got to know this part, and this is the real key to it, because you might be doing this and we didn't know we were doing this. We want them to let us know what they want so they are right and can't be wrong. So if you give them the power and make it their idea, now you know. So if they're a person like, you know what, I just like to gather thoughts and make sure I wait a couple of days and make a decision. Perfect. You don't talk, you're not going to go to quote nap, you're not going to do that kind of thing, you're not going to scare them in any which way. Does that make sense? Because they don't want that, and they've just told you that. So even if they don't even know what they want and they said that one, just go like this. Perfect. So we're not going to talk about really any money today. We'll show you what the prices of certain things, but we're not going to talk about any payment today. We're just going to go through information, and you watch their shield drop, because they're like, okay, sweet. And now you know not to force it, right? Because sometimes we force it. But also with this one here, sometimes we are doing a 2-visit process to a person who's an impulse buyer, right? Paige, put your hand up, impulse buyer. I'm an impulse buyer, right? If I see something I like, I get it. But there's other people that don't do that. But sometimes what we do is, if I'm a person that is an impulse buyer, I'm forcing it to a person that is not an impulse buyer. Or vice versa, you might be a person that likes to think about things and gather your thoughts, but you might be talking to an impulse buyer, and you could actually just be throwing your sale right out the window. Because watch what happens here. It's hard to get, after you've shown them, is it sometimes you lose people? And you're like, okay, yeah, we'll book the second one, but it was your idea to book it? They're like gone, and you can never get a hold of them again. You guys know what I'm talking about? This is why. Because they've already spent the money on something else. They're like, what can I spend this money on? Right? The cool thing is like that's what it is. So if you're sitting down with somebody and they said that they're an impulse buyer, you know that you can be asking them questions because they're that type of person, and they've given you the permission. They've given you the permission that it's their idea, that now you can actually ask for the sale. Isn't that kind of cool? Perfect. 2 people like that. All right. Impulse buyers are those people that, you know, here's an example of an impulse buyer, is the people that owe you money, but they still spend money. Have you met these people, right? All of my friends, right? So, except for Paige. But, you know, like, honestly, impulse buyers are people that they don't have a problem spending money, and they're not worried about it. And it's just the way they are. They're just okay to spend things and make decisions and do that kind of stuff. And then there's other people sometimes, number 2 here, guys, sometimes we would be forcing the sale when they are people who just like to gather thoughts, or at least say they do, because they need a little time. Some people just need a little bit of time. So when you're sitting there, just give them the time, but only 1 to 2 days. Honestly, when you guys are booking out a week here, you have to just think this: I'm not adding enough value. Because you've got to have the urgency. It's so much harder to get somebody back after a week. So if you show somebody today, it's got to be 1 to 2 days, and just be like, hey, all our clients are loving this, and what they usually do is they book in 1 to 2 days so we can actually make a decision. You say that, that's called being a professional and gearing them towards it. All right? We give them the control to tell us how they want to be treated. Then they won't be wrong or have to the impulse to be right. Does this make sense with everybody? Yeah. So here's the hack. We're going to give it to them. We take the information off of 1 phrase, and it'll change everything. And here's why. The psychology of an impulse buyer is they are decision makers. And really what it is, they don't have a problem with the outcome for the most part. So when somebody's a decision maker, they make a decision and they're okay with it. And a lot of times you're probably thinking, oh, well, sometimes these people, they wouldn't keep it on the books forever. No, no, no. They are okay with their decision, and they're moving on to something else. So like, okay, I'm protected now. I'm good to go. Let's move forward. That's impulse buyers. They don't actually, studies have shown that they don't actually cancel things and stuff like that. They made a decision and they're just like, no, that's okay. Let's move forward. And this is a person like, I'm very, very impulse buyer, or I'm actually very much a decision maker, right? But there's a lot of people that are thought gatherers. And you think, remember, I'm not saying thinkers, right? Thought gatherers that needs time to make a decision. They're worried about the outcomes. So what happens if I get this and I don't claim? What happens if this is, does this claims actually work? They're thinking about all this stuff and they need a couple days because they feel pressured on it. So let them have those couple days and then be like, hey, if you have any questions, you can sit back on the second one and then you're ready to go because we're all skilled and ready for that one. But you've given them exactly what they want and you've given them the control. Does that make sense to everybody? So this could really help out your business or not, whatever it is, but this could really set up your whole presentation so you're not combating with them at all. They're just like setting it up for a nice thing, and it's just 1 phrase. So what we're going to do now, guys, is we're going to get into the phrase, and we're going to get people just to practice. And again, this is not perfect right off the bat, but here's pretty much the 2 points you want to be doing, 2 points, and then what you're doing is this one where you're giving them the choice and the option. And then once they take the option, you're like, okay, perfect. So we're going to get started today. I'm going to run through the information, and we'll book a second visit right afterwards. So let's get started here. So we have a simple 4-step process. So usually what I would do is do this, 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 and this, and this. You know what I'm talking about? And then you're going through your presentation. But it's that much easier. So we're going to break out to breakout rooms. We have a bit of time here. So we're going to go for about 6 minutes. And we want everybody in your breakout room to go through this and practice this so we can get it into our vocabulary. Remember, it's before you even start the presentation. It's just to kind of set the tone for it. So it should be in the group right now. We'll come back in 6 minutes here and enjoy this one. So we'll see you guys in 6. All right, turn your neighbor, give them a high five and say, thank you for that. Thank you for that. Boom. All right, guys. So I hope that helps out a little bit today on just those types of things. We've got to practice this, all right? So again, to be great, you have to be good, good, you have to be bad, and bad, you have to start. You've got to get this fluent enough that every time you sit down with them, it's just something in there and you can learn so much about it. The idea of this is that you can give the power to them, and guess what, and then at the same time, you're also still in charge and in power. You know exactly where you're going, because you don't want to be combating somebody again and again and again. Even if you're a person that loves to think about things, you might be sitting across from a person that's an impulse buyer and you can never find them again because there's somebody that likes to make a decision and they're thinking, if I didn't get this right now, it doesn't mean anything to me, right? So you got to make sure you know those types of people. But on top of that, you don't want to be pressuring somebody that is a person that loves to take 2 days. And is it a problem if you take 2 visits here? Do we get paid enough? Is it okay, right? Of course it's okay. We get paid a lot of money to actually have a quick sizzle and then to a presentation. And you might find some people, as it came up, I don't know which one I really am. And you can be like, perfect. We know we have a lot of people that do that too, so we'll just get to see, we go from there. And then when you're going through it, if you're like this, okay, so you feel like you want to get started today, or do you want to have some time to think about it? and then you've given that power back to them during the session. You know, I'm liking what I'm seeing today. Perfect. Let's get you started on something. We'll book a follow-up in the future and get things rocking and rolling. Also, if you're like, how far is that follow-up if they do get something? That could be your 3 month, that could be your 1 month, that could be your 1 week. Whatever you want to do, you can find out what it is, because sometimes when you've got somebody sold, you just want to make sure they know what they have. So you have to always do a follow-up within 3 months, because also there's probably some other stuff that we have back on board that you could actually upgrade them to, and it's before the 6 months. Make sense with everybody? Yeah. All right. So what we're going to do now is we have a lovely video today, and then we're going to get into R2A2. So we're rocking and rolling today, guys. So we're on time. And today's video is by TD Jakes himself. This guy has, again, definitely given us some fantastic videos before. You know, he's a wonderful preacher that just has a great view look on life. But this one here is talking about us, that we need to start to work with each other here and start to move forward all the way through everything we're doing. So when we go through this here today, guys, watch this video. It's just a nice 5-minute quick one, but it's also just talking about how we can be champions together. So push play on the video. It should be in the group right now. We'll come back in 5 minutes. We'll do an R2A2 and we'll get this thing rocking and rolling. Awesome. See you guys in a bit. All right. Welcome back. Welcome back. All right. Turn to your neighbor, give him a high five and say, I'm an eagle. I'm an eagle. Fantastic, guys. So obviously a great video, unless you didn't play it. But guys, what we want to do now is we want to get to our R2A2 today. And, you know, we'll get this action packed here. So what the idea I got was what it means to me. Here's how I'll use it. My starting date is. So the idea I got was what it means to me. Here's how I'll use it. And my starting date is. So take a quick minute or so to do that. All right, turn your neighbor, give a high five and say thank you for the R2A2. Fantastic, great job. All right, since we have an extra minute here, who would like to share an R2A2 right across the world of D6?
Mary is ready. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Mary.
All right, so the idea I got was from Chad, where he said, how can I make this happen? What it means to me is that don't question the system that's put out there and proven to be effective. Instead, question yourself of what you can do to make it work. Here's how I'll use it. Well, Mark knows that. I don't question what my leaders and the corporate tells me to do. I just do it. And that's my take. Thank you.
Awesome. Let's give it up for Mary, and great job, Chad, there too. Guys, asking how can I get this? How can I make this happen? What can I, you know, I want the goal. I want the streams. I want to go get things. How can I do it? And that's a totally different philosophy than saying, give me what I want in my life, right? It's you got to go get it. So great job, Mary. Anybody else? One more across the world.
Yeah, I was going to jump in. I absolutely love the alternate options that we did today. So I kind of found that I was struggling with that. It was like, okay, so, you know, we had a meeting and they're like, let's send me an email. And then I kind of lose them after that. So the fact that I can be like, listen, take charge, like we do 2 meetings, which kind of person are you, kind of re-engage them. I love that. So I'm excited about that. And I'm going to start using that today.
Right on. Let's give it up for Kelly here. And honestly, great job. That's the whole point of that one, guys, is constantly you can just find out what they are. And Randy said he's going to be able to save time with it, because now it's just a simple little question, giving them the control and moving forward. So let's give everybody a huge round of applause today. Great job. Let's get into a few things. We'll touch a little bit, touch points here. So congrats, D6, on another great week, guys. Give yourselves a huge round of applause. Champions, come to the trainings. And let's talk about Chad here today, guys. Let's give him another huge round of applause. You know, he was talking about a lot of great things, but really what he was doing, he says, like, I want to be trainable and coachable, and how can I go win? And on top of that, he's adding value, and the value's flying back. It's all our attitude, guys. If you have an attitude that this is the greatest spot, this is the greatest profession, I love my job, I love coming to trainings, everything shifts. But if you're like this, you know what, I'd rather be doing something else, I'd rather be doing something else, I'd rather be doing something else, then this becomes a very tough game. So it's all about our attitude, guys. And honestly, if you just shift that a little bit, it becomes the funnest place you can ever be, guys. So let's give it up for Chad here. What a stellar week, 8,500, hitting 97.5%. All right here. And then also we talked about a couple hacks, right? So a couple hack here games just to make sure, again, we're not going to go find out, we're not psychologists to find out, you know, all that kind of stuff with people. We just want to go around it. So the first one was the 3rd degree, right? Cleo was talking about this, and if I mind if I share, she's like, yeah, sometimes I talk to people and they're like, you know, I like dirt bike. And she's like, okay, sweet. And then she just moves on to the next one because she's like, I'm not clicking with that. I don't care about that. But if we can learn a bit more to be like, ask a couple more questions, you'll see them open up. And then they actually, because most people are not asking people those questions. So you'll watch the presentation turn from something that's just nothing to all of a sudden, they don't even know what, they're just happy to be part of it. And honestly, if you can start doing that in all aspects of your life, watch your entire life shift by just asking people, because most people, about 5% of the people in the world are actually asking and being genuinely interested in people. The other 95% are just being like, trying to tell everybody what to do and how to do it. So understand that it's a really great thing. So let's give that a huge round of applause today. And thank you, Cleo, for the share. And then obviously what Kelly was talking about, guys, this is a game changer if you choose to be. But honestly, if you can just practice how it can flow and get really good at it, you can set the tone no matter what, right? And again, if they're not one or two, you can be like, okay, well, let's see. And then you can bring it up later on. But at least you can actually have the control. You can save yourself some time. You can actually, really know exactly what they're going to go do and you're not combating them. And that could be a game changer in your business, because really what you're doing is you're handing them the power and making it their idea of what they want. And then you're going to get to go through it. And if they say this, most likely they're going to respect that in a big, big way. Does that make sense? Yeah. 100%. Let's give that a huge round of applause. And then the video, I don't know if you guys like that video, but I think it's a huge thing. And this is what we're talking about with District 6, guys, is with the companies looking at us, trying to figure out what's going on. But really what it is we got to become eagles. And we are eagles inside. I really believe every single person on this team, whether you believe it or not, is an eagle. And that's why 25 points, I believe, is not even just a weekly thing. It's sometime in the future, if you really go to find out about being an eagle, it can be that. Your vision, you can see further, you can do more, you're focused on it. But an eagle is being an eagle. An eagle is not trying to be a chicken and trying to hang around with chickens. The biggest battle here, guys, I'm telling you, I believe every person's a champion, but it's when they go back wherever they are and they have these two lives, and that's what Chad's talking about. It's integration, but they have two lives where they're hanging out with chickens and they're pretending they're chicken. They're an eagle putting on a chicken suit and hanging out with chickens, guys. And you can't win that way because those people don't understand how eagles move. They can't fly. They can't mate with you in the air, right? So the idea is we got to find more eagles and we got to become these eagles. Because when you start becoming an eagle, guys, everything starts to open up. You start to find more eagles. And I love what the video said at the very end here. When you get two eagles together, everything changes. But we've got to drop the ego of being around chickens and stuff like that. We got to be like, you know what? I want to be an eagle. Because when I look at 25 points, I know some people are like, that's really far. But if your only vision is to get 25 points, everything changes. Some people ask, how do you get to where you are in this business? I'll just say this right off the beginning. Our job was to build a business at the very beginning. We were doing and signing people up to get them to the school till 1 to 2 to 3 in the morning, almost every single day for the first 3 months. Not a joke. 16 hours, 17 hours a day, every single day, didn't matter. And people are like, well, how come you don't get that? Because you haven't been all in yet. You haven't said, this is the shot, this is the vision. Because sometimes what we're doing is we're doing this to get home to watch your favorite TV show. You can't, like, oh, I worked today, I worked 5 hours. Guys, this is how I think all the time. I'm always constantly thinking about trainings, talking to people, figuring this out, reading books, going on seminars, you name it. I'm trying to build myself up, and all the trainings are in sync. They're all pointing where it is, because I'm talking to the team and trying to figure it out. That's how my brain's always, I don't turn off. Right? I'm not looking to turn off and go hang out with these people, because I know if I go hang out with those people, then it's going to take that much time to get started again. So you've got to be wanting to do this all the time. Now, it doesn't mean, as in Paige and Dana saying she can shut off, you can shut your phone off. You can just go mute, right? But if you're just like this, I can't wait to get to my day and this is a chore, then this game is not going to be fun. But when you're like, honest, I get to protect people, people get claims, they feel good, my business is growing, I can start making income. Guys, you can start to change everything in our lives, but you've got to start being that eagle, and then you start hanging around more eagles, and then watch what happens here. That's the whole difference. That's why the standard's going up. If you want to be an eagle and start hanging around eagles, this is the place. That's what Chad's talking about. He's like, I feel supported. I feel good. I feel like I'm a champion. I've always been a champion, and now I'm around more champions. And that's what this thing's going to go change up here, guys. We can change the company. We can change this industry. We can change everything if we just start working together. And eagles are champions. And there's a champion inside every single one of us. So let's just go out there and be champions every single week right now. Push this right to this end of this weekend here. Let's show this company, as we come out of COVID, we have record sales, and they're just like, what is going on? Because the rest of this year, guys, you can make what you made all last year in the next 6 months. I promise you that. We're going to go to the moon here. Their sickness is coming back. We're going to get face to face. We're going to do all these types of things together, guys, because that's what we are. Because we're District 6N. We're District 6N. We're District 6N.
You got
Give them a high five and say, we got this.